Welcome into Missing the Point. I am your host, Michael Marcangelo, joined alongside by the real BK Bob Kelly and Hollywood Rayshawn Buchanan. And on this episode, we're diving deep into our misery bucket, and we're going to talk about the collapse of the Boston Bruins and the awful game one of the Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers, which, by the way, I'm still not worried. But before we dive into it fully, Bobby, how are you, and how are you feeling about the two teams that we're going to discuss tonight?
It's just it's still opposite ends of the spectrum, if you ask me. The first one we're going to talk about is just straight bullshit, and I'm sick of it. And like I'm just done at this point expecting anything different because it's just par for the course. The Celtics, I'm not that worried. I'm a little pissed at the coach, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, Ray.
Yeah, they've messed with my money.
So messed with my money bad too. Oh well, they
yeah,
really
well, I mean,
messed with your money,
but
like your income.
I'm in the arena. Which is why I'm on the show tonight. Like, had they fucking won Sunday, game one would have been against Toronto tonight as we record this on as Tuesday night. So yeah, I'm extremely pissed for that reason alone. On top of all the other stuff that happened that unfolded during the series. So yeah, ready for the deep dive, ready for the therapy session. So let's do it.
Let's do it. Coming off of a record-setting regular season in which the Boston Bruins won 65
dude is fucking
games.
Ready. He's so ready. He's like, yeah, let's fucking go.
They won 65 games. They went 34-4 at home. They proceeded to lose 3 straight games at the Garden against the Florida Panthers, who they scored at 43 more points during 43 more points then during the regular season, ending game 7 4-3 in overtime. I want to ask this question: where does this rank, Ray, in terms of Boston Bruin choke jobs?
I know recency bias will say that it has to be number one, or it used to be number one. And for those that had that stance, I get it, because it just happened. It's fresh. You break the all-time record, against your rival Montreal, after them having, such a great run in the late 70s. So I get it. It's still number two to me, now being removed from it. Think about, like, 2010 still is number one. Listen, when you're up 3-0, once again, we still, to this day, we still talk about the Sox Yankees 04. So you've got to put that in the same category. And they lost, they was up 3-0 and lose to Philly 4-3. That is still number one. This is definitely number two. Like, not we're not talking about, not 2019, not 2013, not even 2020. Like, it is it's that. And then, like I said, this is 2010 first, and then what happened on Sunday night as number two by far. It is absolutely wild that that is over this quickly. But it's just like, I mean, worse things have happened, but like, this is pretty this is pretty bad, to say the least.
Bobby, where does this rank for you? And why don't you give us your, after you tell us that, why don't you give us your take on the actual game?
Yeah, no, I don't give a shit where it ranks, to be perfectly honest at this point, man. Because it's all one big bag of shit that the Bruins have presented to us time and time again in these series clinching, legacy defining moments. You know what I mean? To me, the Cup, which is still one of my most cherished memories, still by far one of my greatest sports memories. That's the outlier. When you look at what this core and what this team has done in the playoffs, man, every single time when it comes down to it, it is gut-wrenching, pull out your soul losses in these games. And it's every single, you think it's going to be the year that they get over the top, and this shit like this happens. You know what I mean? You're like, this is it. There was the year against the Blackhawks in the Cup where they just fucking blew that game 6. They fucked that game right up, just like they fucked this game up. It's the same script too. That's what really pisses me off about it. Is it's the same shit every single time. They're not strong enough in the neutral zone, and they turn horrible turnovers that you can't come back from. and just bad coaching mistakes. You know what I mean? It's just the same script every time. When they scored that tying goal, bro,
it was over. It was over.
It was done. And the only way they were gonna win is if they got a goal early. If they got a goal early in that overtime, that's different. Yep. You know what I mean? As soon as it got past 7-8 minutes, I was like, they're fucked. There's no fucking way they're winning this game. No fucking way. And so and they fit the script. It was a stupid fucking goal from the fucking bad angle that sneaks right back. It's just the whole thing is just bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Right. So two things. So quick aside, right? So this might be the only time ever I think that Bobby was mad at me, right? So the 2011 playoffs, the Bruins had not won on the road, I think, or like in Game 7 or whatever, like all playoffs, like or not. Well, obviously they didn't win it, but they had struggled on the road the whole playoffs. So I think Game 7 was like in Tampa or wherever it was at, and I'm like, against Vancouver, and I'm like, yeah, that's what they beat. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm like, they've been shaky all playoffs, and I just might have been the only time Bobby was like, get the fuck out of here, Rayshawn. Like, and I was like, I don't think he's ever been madder at me. And he was like, get the fuck out of here with this negativity right now. I don't fucking need it. I fucking love you.
I remember. Right, I remember that, bro. I remember. I deleted like, comments and shit. Bro, this is my squad. This is that's what I mean. I love this team. I love this team. And I'm just so sick of
I was 12 years too early, but I just
it's just that core, man. I'm just done with it. You know what I mean? It's time. Well, it's time. Something needs to change.
Well, yeah,
I know that there's only 3 guys. Something's got to change because
for sure.
I cannot proceed forward with this team and expect anything different, bro. I'm sorry I'm ranting, but like this was the number 1 fucking team ever. It wasn't a great season, guys. It wasn't a great season or a good season or like, a really good. It was the best fucking regular season ever.
Yeah. Listen, I just want to take this time to remind, I don't think I need to remind the two of you, but to those listeners out there, earlier this year, Ray and I were talking about the Bruins. And I said, I called back to one of my old takes about the Bruins from a couple years ago. I said, it doesn't matter to me if they win 82 games in the regular season. I won't believe it's real until they get past the first round. And I don't think they will. And then they won 65. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? It's hard to win 82. So they did the damn thing. Now I'm kind of bought in. And then they did exactly what the Bruins have done time and time again in the last 13 years since 2010. It's also worth noting before we dive into the actual game. This is the third time in 10 years that the Bruins have won the President's Trophy and did not win the Stanley Cup.
Bullshit. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
And we'll get to like what do we think about the this run and this segment. But I guess Ray, for you, what was their biggest downfall? Was it coaching? Was it turnovers?
I mean, it's the lack of defense seems to be a theme just in that building. Like I said, we'll get into the team across the hall later on. But yeah, lack of defense to me really was the thing. Like Friday night on that Game 6, like when you score 5 goals, once again, that's like scoring 120 in basketball. That's like scoring 40 in football. Like when you're getting that many goals, you should win that game, whether it's 5-4, 5-3, 5-2, 5-1, even a shutout maybe. And the fact that you gave up 7 goals, I mean, I know the 7 was an empty netter, but whatever, it counts. 7 goals in a game, like it's like that's out of control. Like the only 7 I want to acknowledge was Ray Bourque's original number. Like I didn't want to see 7 in fucking Game 6 of one of the biggest games of their lives. And like I said, but it's lack of defense, but it goes back to coaching. When you have a guy play as many games as he played in a row, meaning Allmark, right? Once again, phenomenal all year. Deserved defensive trophy. Once again, regular season, he did what he's supposed to do. So I can separate that for what I saw in the 7 games. Like I'm pissed at how he performed in the postseason, but regular season he deserved the award. He'll get that. Cool. There's no way he should have played that many games in a row, especially if they knew that he was hampered with the injury. People are blaming Swayman. I think it's unfair. I really do, because not many of us could have came in on a game 7 and did what he did.
Right.
Once again, he gave them a chance still to win the damn game. Once again, they scored 2 right away, and like people were sick or whatever. But I'm like, once again, they go on that rampage in the third, score three unanswered goals, in the third period, and then it's just like, yo, all you had to do was get them one more time. If you go 4-2, it's ball game essentially. Like they would have kept fighting, but that would have been it. The win would have been knocked out of their sails, so to speak. So, but like I said, to answer your question, because I feel like I'm ranting as well. I just think that defense and just once again not knowing when to pull the goalie cost them ultimately.
Yeah, it's coaching. That's really what it boiled down to. When you think about how exactly what you said, Ray, that goalie situation, man, couldn't have been played out worse. Like the way that the was Montgomery, that's his name, right? Montgomery went about it was, in my opinion, what should have happened was Swayman should have played game 6. All right, Olmark already showed many holes in game 6. If not play game 6, should have at least came in that third period, right? Because then if Swayman plays great, right, you play him game 7, so he's not cold for game 7. Awesome. Swayman plays like shit, then you go back to Olmark, and at least there's some sign of positivity that maybe he got some rest in that game 6 or some shit like that. Right. Instead, the situation you set up for yourself, right, was either a cold goalie who hasn't played in 2 weeks in a game 7 winner go home playoff, which I think he did respectable considering the circumstance. If you ask me,
he did not lose that game for you.
Yeah, definitely not. Or Linus Olmark after that bullshit of a performance. Who's hurt? Who's right. Who by the way was clearly fucking hurt. Bro, clearly fucking hurt.
Reports came out, Bobby.
Yeah, I don't know.
That he had a debilitating injury that they found out about after game 5.
Yeah. So what
are you doing?
The fuck are you doing?
So, but even so, I know, and I think as you and I Bobby, talked about the game 6 that we felt that Swayman should have been that guy. Honestly, after game 4, but I think people were, because remember, Olmark was hot after game 4, right? Or at the end of game 4, he gets ejected. He's very. So I think people was like, well, maybe he's fired up, but I'm like, yo, you had the chance to rest him there. So if you did lose game 5 and that happened, you get it back fresh for game 6 on the road, and then essentially close them out and get ready for Toronto. So game 5 really was the game that they missed it, because once again, you're up 3-0. Up 3-0. You're up 3-1. You had the cushion there that you could buffer a game there and get Swayman in there for game 5. But it was just a matter of, because like I said, I felt like they had the momentum there. Clearly they did. They came down there, did what they had to do. I'm like, okay, cool. And the next thing you know, they didn't pull the right cards.
What's crazy too is like that was like their biggest strength all season. It was like the thing that gave them so much momentum was like the camaraderie between those two goalies and the goalie hug and like all this shit, and like it didn't matter who played, and like we're gonna ride the hot hand, and it just it was bullshit the whole time.
Jeremy Swayman was the number 1 goalie in all of the NHL after January 1st in terms of save percentage.
Yep.
Now, so here's the one out that I will give Jim Montgomery. It is hard to carry a goalie by committee stance or the rotation into the playoffs, simply because it's never been done before. You always ride the hot hand. You think about, back to the glory days in 2011, that happened because Tim Thomas caught fire, and you rode him all the way through the Stanley Cup finals. Before this series, if I was Montgomery, and you see Allmark go out there, and let's say in 3 games he plays lights out, you do not even think to make the switch, right? But when you're up 3-1, and if you know that there is a nagging injury, go to your other goaltender that is the best in terms of save percentage in the league since January 1st, and see what happens. And like in my opinion, turnovers did them like it was game 7 was awful in terms of they what really struck me was the fact that the Bruins came into this series against a team that they were quote unquote so much better than and superior to, and they did not make the Panthers play their game. They decided they were going to try and play theirs.
Yeah. Fucking series. We
are not as fast as the Panthers. Like they played so fast, and they played like they had nothing to lose. And I truly think that yes, turnovers, but the indecisive coaching decisions that we saw from Jim Montgomery, switching up the lines, the entire series. Yeah. What are you doing? And the fact that Patrice Bergeron was not available to you for a couple of these games because he needed to play game 82 in Montreal is embarrassing. Patrice Bergeron played the most minutes that he has played in the last 8 years this year. What are you doing? Like I truly don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. But right, neutral zone turnovers. Just to give you a little insight. The Boston Bruins had 18 giveaways in game 7. The Panthers had 9.
Yep.
By the way, it was a 2-to-1 ratio the entire series. So why do you think that was?
Well, it starts with Pasternak, right? I think he is someone that is built for turnovers. I think that's just what he does. And I remember some other pundits, speaking about that, like, would that be an issue? And I was like, oh no, he's kind of high risk, high reward. Well, it starts with him and it kind of trickles down, right? So, I felt like they also missed opportunities to shoot. I said all year when I was in the Garden or I talked to people about it, when they led with shots on goal, they usually were going to win the game because if they're the aggressor, you got 5-6 guys that had 15 goals or more. So clearly you have the advantage there. But yeah, weak passes, not knowing when to shoot. I think all that culminated together, which led to, like you said, it led to the 2-1 ratio. Once again, I'm a math teacher. I didn't want to talk ratio tonight, and it's wild that we have to make that comparison, but it's sad. It's sad that they couldn't control the puck when they needed to the most, which is why they're on the couch like us watching the rest of the playoffs.
Right. I mean, just on that though, the Bruins led shots on goal 5 out of the 7 games.
Yeah. Bro, that's
crazy.
When I just feel like we've been having this same goddamn conversation
since college.
Since college, dude, and it's so fucking frustrating because 100% you're right. It's the turnovers, and when you do turn it over, it's the inability to clear the goddamn puck. That was another thing that drove me fucking crazy that entire series. The defense, I don't know what it was, man, that they just turn into a bunch of pussies when the playoffs comes around. They really do, and most notable, it always seems like it's that guy that we trade for that we're trying to add that addition to the defense. Linus, or not Olmark, fucking what's his name?
Orlov?
No.
He was phenomenal. So
Lindholm,
yeah.
Orlov was awesome. Lindholm is a fucking piece of shit. That man, I cannot.
He's not coming on the show ever.
I cannot watch him play another game in the Bruins uniform. I've never seen. He reminded me of Caberlet. You guys remember Thomas Caberlet?
Oh yeah.
It was like a 1-to-1 comparison of people that think they're playing defense, but it's not defense to let someone get their spot and then shove them after they've already made the fucking play. And you're like, bro, what? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just going right back to that game 7 attitude.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't do this with this team anymore.
It's true. Also, I want to kind of pivot a little bit to a storyline. So, Bruce Cassidy, the former head coach of the Boston Bruins, was fired in the offseason. And the reason that he was fired, that we've heard, is that he was not connecting with players, old or young. But Bruce Cassidy is in the second round of the NHL playoffs with the Las Vegas Knights. So my question to you, Ray, is were the players given too much power in this situation, and who is on the right side of history here?
Oh, it's gonna be Bruce. Bruce probably listen. If I'm him, I'm smiling. I'm sending a picture from the Golden Knight locker room, like, bitch, we made it. Like I'd be all over the group chat if I was still a part of it. And that was, are you kidding me? Of course he's on the right side of history. Like the man, once again, they went on a tirade when this man got let go. Oh, he didn't like us. He didn't appreciate us. Like, did all that. So all that talking you did when this man got you to the finals. Yeah, we got the President's Cup. I mean, listen, Tampa Bay was a fucking wagon that year. They had an excellent 3-4 year run. So I that looking back at it now, that doesn't look as bad as we felt in that moment.
Also, Tuca abandoned the team to play golf, but
right, correct. Who knows? I mean, maybe they should have called it back for
at
a
least
game
he
or
wasn't
two.
involved,
Who knows?
right? At least he wasn't involved.
The way that shit was going, I think. Players. I mean, shit. Raycroft, somebody, somebody should have came back and did something there. But yeah, Cassidy definitely is on the right side of history. And once again, when guys get wrongfully done, I'm always happy to see them flourish elsewhere. And I felt like it was premature. So yeah, it's just like, but the and I hate to use the same, but it's relevant to this. The inmates were running the asylum, and
right.
Unfortunately, let's say it led to an early exit. That's
I mean, Bobby. In addition to that question, I mean, didn't it look like in game? I think what was it, game 2, that Montgomery was panicking. Yeah. Like he was as frantic as a rookie would be. So I'll pose the same question to you. Do you think that the players were given too much power in the Cassidy situation? Who comes out on the right side of history, and what do you do with Jim Montgomery now? Because clearly the moment was too big for him.
I think the person that was given too much power is Don Sweeney. I think that's what it comes down to, is they picked the GM over the coach, and we all knew at the time it was a fucking mistake. We've been calling for Sweeney's head for fucking years on this show, and when they fired Cassidy after last year, I hated it. I hated the move at the time, and I hate it even more now. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I was definitely throughout the season like, oh yeah, fuck you, Cassidy. We don't need you. We 58 wins. But yeah, it seems like
65 wins.
How many? 65?
65, yeah.
Jesus.
No, it was talking about last year. I guess he was talking about last year.
But
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No, I think Bobby was talking about this year.
I was.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, I was. It's just it's unfortunate that they gave the wrong people the power, because we knew it, man. That's what's always the most frustrating part, is when you know it at the time.
I don't think we knew it.
Yeah, but
I come on, man. When they fired Cassidy, every single one of us was like, "Come on."
Yeah, sure.
They scapegoated the wrong person, and it was so obvious at the time. And it's so frustrating that now we're at a point where the coach, because you're so right, man. The coach was so clearly the weak spot of what was going on, and it was he lost everything in that game 7.
Yeah, so I would just say, like, at the time, I think that we all, like, collectively as a fan base, probably questioned it, because Bruce, for the most part, had done his job. Like, there were not really there weren't the level of bad years under Bruce as there were with Claude, right? And for the most part, like, it looked like Bruce was playing younger players.
Yeah. I liked Bruce, man. I liked him.
Yeah, but he also gave it to them. What I will say is that I think, I don't want to speak for anybody, but I think our fears were overcome, by New Year's Day, when they looked to be a wagon. It's like, oh, this is exactly what they needed. And it turns out that the NHL is a little bit different than the NBA, where you still need coaching in the playoffs. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
That was a fucking big market tease, huh?
Nice.
That is, but it doesn't matter the level, how many core guys you have that have been there before. The problem with the NHL and the players is that because they have done it, they think that they can still do it. And you, as a coach, need to be the voice of reason and say, no, you do not need to play the most minutes that you played in 8 years, Patrice Bergeron. You do not need to play in Montreal. You just fucking rest because
honestly,
the torn labrum. Isn't that what came out? Yeah,
herniated disc.
Herniated disc. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, yeah, I don't have this much of an issue.
The captain.
The captain, right?
No
exactly.
fucking big deal.
Yeah. I don't have an issue as much as Mike's making it to be with them playing him. I honestly thought that I think when Krejci returned, when who else came back on the team besides Krejci?
Bergeron.
Brian Bergeron, right? So when they came back, I'm thinking they was like, you know what? I think in their mind they felt that this was a last run type of thing. So they was like, look, we're getting everything we can out of this season. Clearly it didn't fucking work. But as I think that's what they came into that mindset. So I'm fine with that. My only retort to what Bobby said about we chose, and like, yes, they definitely chose Sweeney over Cassidy. But to me, Sweeney helped redeem himself at the trade deadline. When you go get Orlov, when you go get Bertuzzi,
and Bertuzzi was a monster. I fucking love Bertuzzi.
You bring over Foligno, so they brought in guys that use the basketball term, but they get it out the mud in hockey sense. Like you got guys that were gritty, somewhat tough. So right. it worked. Right. Excuse me. They go ahead.
Can you imagine if Sweeney had gone all in like he did this year with the head coach like Bruce Cassidy
last year? Right.
Oh,
right.
I mean, yes.
Right.
They might have won. They might have won 70 games, but it's just to me. At the end of the day, obviously, and I feel like it seems to be a theme really this whole year, 2023. Right. You think about March Madness, all the lower seeds had basically got to the Final Four or the Elite Eight. You think about what's happening now in the NBA. The Miami Heat beat the Bucks. The Lakers end up being the Grizzlies. Warriors beat the Kings. Like all these lower seed teams across the board. The Kraken beat the defending champs. Which that's getting swept under the fucking rug because of what happened here with the Bruins. Like Colorado just won, right? Just won, but yet since Seattle beat them in 7, it's like, oh, okay, well, just we'll see you next year type thing. So, it seems to be a theme. Once again, I hate that we had to be a part of history, or we're on the wrong side of history in that regard. But it seems to be the theme. It's the you're the underdog right now in 2023.
So, go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah. So what really annoys me too is we talked about Sweeney, who has too much power, blah 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 blah. Are we all just kind of overlooking the fact that this main core, and this might even be a good segue into your last segment here, but like this main core has just failed us in the big moments, time and time again, man. It goes back to, like I said, the Blackhawks series, to the Capitals in overtime, to the Hurricanes 2 or 3 times in overtime.
The Flyers, dude.
The Flyers. Like, it's just, to me, it seems like this core, right? If this was any other sport, I feel like Bruins, kind of get a pass in this town sometimes. Because if this was any other sport, there's no fucking way these 3 guys would still be together. And it would still be this core, going strong like this. If it was year after year of playoff collapses, not defeats, utter collapses
just still
in the
young,
big
bro.
Moments.
Still young, bro. Can't get rid of him, bro.
But
it's only year 7.
If
oh my god.
But right. So this
man.
this would be if we were in year 2033, right? And the Celtics win one championship, right? They get one this year, and then
I'll take it. I'll fucking take it. I'm sorry.
But then they just have collapse after collapse for 10 to 12 years. There's no goddamn way, right? But there's no goddamn way that these 2 guys are still on this team. There's not a chance in hell.
But we'd be on the show saying it's only year 11. Like, can't break it up.
Probably
they got to say together.
Here's that ring.
Here's what I'll say about this run. Right.
It's bullshit.
Oh god.
If I could summarize let's just say 2010 through 2023, the Boston Bruins are the Indianapolis Colts of the NHL.
Yeah.
That is it.
Wow. Wow.
Peyton Manning got his one ring in Indianapolis, and he was a powerhouse from 2002 to 2011. Perennial Super Bowl contender. Could only do it once. That's them. Like, that is the legacy of the Boston Bruins. Yes, you won a cup. Yes, you appeared in 3. But the difference between what they are now and what they could have been if they actually closed out this run is you are a team that appeared in 4 Stanley Cup championships in the span of 13 years, and you won 2 of them. You bookended it.
It was the best record ever. Ever.
34-4 at home in the regular season, and then you lost 3 playoff games at home.
Oh my god!
Yo, so let me give perspective.
Like, it's so unbelievable that this is how this goes down. You know what I mean? Like, the whole thing is just it's
wild.
It's unbelievable, right? You couldn't script it better, and it's so Bruins, and that's I sent this text like 6 times where I was like, I know this script. As soon as it got to the 3rd period, I was like, I know this script. I've seen this game. I know exactly what is coming, and then that is what happened. You know what I mean? It's just
it's wild. As well,
right?
Yeah, no, just so two things, right? So I because I want to give perspective, give context, because like I said, if you listen to the show, you know that I work at TD Garden, but game 2 they lose, right? They lose, right? Yeah, no, I'm saying just go back to game 2, right? Or whatever first one of the first 2 they lost, I forget what it was. Everything's a blur right now, but they lose one of the first 2 at TD. It was okay, so it was game 2. Okay. People are immediately panicking. Immediately.
They looked like shit in game 2.
They did, but I'm saying, but I mean, yeah. Oh yeah, because it was 6-3.
Yeah, they looked awful.
I mean, I was happy because the building got cleared early, so I was just like, hey, have a good night, drive home safely. Thanks for being the best best home ice crowd. But that's more of a personal thing. But man, I remember fans were already like, yo, like, this team has already played us tough. Like, what are we going to do type thing. So I think fans already seen it coming. And I remember saying, I'm like, yo, I said, calm down. Like, they'll figure it out in Florida. And they did. They figured it out in Florida, come back 3-1. I'm like, cool. Like, we'll wrap it up. We'll get some rest, bring in Toronto. Omar gets his rest. Swayman gets his rest. And we start to cook. But giving up 1 million goals as if I'm facing the 1980s Edmonton Oilers wasn't on my bingo card for 2023. I didn't know that fucking Wayne Gretzky played. I didn't know that Matthew Tkachuk transformed into fucking Wayne Gretzky. I didn't know that. I didn't know they became Mark Messier. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Or that their goalie was going to become Patrick Roy or Martin Brodeur. I didn't know that was going to fucking happen. So, needless to say, the script, as Bobby said, it happened, it unfolded, it became what it was supposed to be. And yeah, now they're home and I'm out of money. So to that I say, fuck y'all. But enjoy Cancun.
So real quick, because then we want to segue to the happier stuff. The Celtics. What happens? What happens next? And I'm going to say this. I'm going to give what I think that they should do, and then I'm going to ask you what you think you should do. Bobby,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to you first, okay? Everyone says, do you think it's time to blow it up? Yes. Trade Marchand. Do not let Krejci or Bergeron come back. Do not, because you need to sign Bertuzzi. He is a bright spot. You need to it's fine. If we have learned anything after observing this year, in the NHL, it does not matter if you are the number 1 seed or the number 8 seed in the playoffs. When you get in, anything can fucking happen. So just do that. We are in cap fucking prison. Do not become beholden to these. Again, I will forever be indebted to Patrice Bergeron for playing with the collapsed lung. when he did against the Blackhawks. That was just absolutely incredible. You still only won one championship. So, like, love you, mean it, but I think it's over. Start building for the future. Bobby, what do you do?
Yeah, couldn't agree more. You gotta make wholesale changes on this team because I've said this on this show so many times about multiple teams, but the definition of insanity is doing the same fucking thing over and over again and expecting different results. And
Yep.
that's where we're at now, man. Is like I've seen this, I've seen it. I don't need to know more. Like I watch less Bruins hockey now than I ever have before, even this year, because I know.
No, you just fucking know.
I know when it comes down to it in the playoffs, they're gonna rip my fucking heart out, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this core. I'm ready. I'm ready to be the worst team in the fucking NHL if that's what it takes to rebuild something different. I just want something different. I don't want to do this again. I'm sick of it, and I'm done. That's my thoughts.
Ray, supplemental income aside, what do the Bruins do, and what should they do?
Oh God. I just to me you got to figure out a way to bring back Bertuzzi and Orlov. Like I know, they're probably commanding 6 to 7 mil, annually. I know they just took care of Pasternak, they just took care of Zaka as well. Which I think those are two pieces that you can use going forward. But yeah, I even though his stock is low at this moment, I'd look to see, with what you get for Omar. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
Marchand can go.
Get Omar the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, once again, thanks for the regular season, but I'm like, yeah, like you can go. Once again, and it's funny because one of the pundits was now, well, they were on one station, they're on another station now, but I didn't want to put it out there, but they had mentioned that Omar should have been traded after the deadline, and folks were like, are you out of your fucking mind? So even though that person's takes are usually pretty bad, but as the statement says, the dead clock is right twice a day. So yeah, I just think that moving on from Omar, moving on from Martian, I agree with that. I don't know, maybe you think about doing something with Taylor Hall as well. I know he got hurt towards the end of the year. I like Foligno, so I think Foligno brings some toughness to this team. So I feel like you need guys that's like that. But yeah, see what the full season of Swayman does with him being the guy. And yeah, just get some guys on here that can be defensemen. Maybe you talk to the Rangers about getting what's that guy that plays defense for them? Is it Fox? His last name Fox? Fox. It's not coming to me, but yeah, I know. Like, I seen his jersey when they came here. They're big fans of him. Like I feel like maybe you go get a guy like that to help out the defense. But yeah, like I said, there's plenty of things that need to happen.
Fox.
Adam Fox, there you go. So yeah, I think that's maybe somebody you look at. Once again, they just got beat by the Devils as well in the first round, so maybe they're looking to make changes as well. So who knows? Maybe a change of scenery would be best for all parties involved. But yeah, Don Sweeney, Cam Neely, who I had a pleasure of meeting a few weeks ago. So he's really cool. But it's time.
Casual name drop.
Yeah, casual name drop.
Just
yeah.
I just to be clear,
like,
if he's not,
you thought we wouldn't notice, Ray? Come on, you thought we get the fuck out of here.
If he doesn't appear on the pod, you never actually met him, so like that doesn't count.
Yeah.
If there's no picture, no proof.
Fuck that. I escorted him to the elevator though. I definitely met that
man. So from the darkest of times, we'll go to the not so darkest of times. All right, boys. Boston Celtics playoffs, round 2, Philadelphia 76ers. No Embiid? No fucking problem. Don't worry about it. We're going to win by 30. 76ers win 119-115. James Harden goes off for, 45 points?
45.
So I'm just going to open this up. I'll start with you, Ray.
7 threes? 7 threes? 8?
Oh, yeah.
8 threes?
Sorry.
Why did we know in our core
Yep.
that when we knew that when we saw that Embiid was not going to be playing in game one, why did we know that the Celtics were going to let their foot off the gas?
Well, in the words of one of our famous wrestlers, this is what I do. Like this, but this is what we do. This is what they do. Like somebody's going to get their ass kicked. It happened to be the Boston Celtics. Like this is what they do at the core. Like for whatever reason, and I'm sorry, yo, Al Horford, bro. You can think what you thought, and once again, I appreciate the candor. I appreciate the honesty. You cannot come out and say, well, we played down because Embiid wasn't fucking playing. Get the fuck out of here, bro. You can't, no, bro. Like, you cannot say that shit on, like, you can't put that shit on wax. You cannot say that on the air. Just say, yo, we didn't play as well. We didn't have the fervor that we needed. Say it like that. Don't say because another man was out that you couldn't give what you need to get, and you was out there on the island getting they had you ass on the grill. Come on, man. Like you can't say that shit, bro. Like you always JT was great, but Jaylen Brown always like figure it out, man. Figure it out. You could not say that shit. That blew my mind that they had actually acknowledged that shit. Saying that because he was out. Well, I guess that changed the intensity. Are you fucking serious? Like, get that to me. If and when they lose this fucking series, that's gonna be the quote for me. And I look forward to coming back on here and ripping them another one again when that shit happens. That's insane to me. Once again, I've been calm for the first 30 minutes. That starting off with that guy, I figured that's where we were gonna go. I'm fucking done. That to me was unbelievable. So that's how you come on to say that after the game. Once again, you could think it, but to verbalize it, to say it for now, it's forever out there. That shit is weak. It's weak. It's weak.
They're not going to lose the series. But Bobby, follow that.
Okay.
So
fucking joke.
I'm not as mad, but at the same time, I think that effort in that game was absolute bullshit, and I do think that there's reasons for it. I think it boils down to Joe, man. I think Joe is lost out there, and I think Al Horford is the main the guy you're seeing it affect the most when he's out there, because he is getting switched on for fucking 7 straight games now. And he's getting, like he said, I honestly think Al's trying to call out Joe when he's coming out and say this shit, because it's so obvious that this is what teams are trying to do. Al is slow. He is old. It is as soon as you get someone athletic on him, it is over. They're going by him. And it's happening game after game. It happened with Trae Young, and it happened last game with James Harden. Every time Al Horford gets switched onto the best player on the court, we are fucked. It's like Al said, it's different when it's Embiid. It's different when it's Giannis, right? It's different when it's that, because Al can use his strength and he can kind of body him a little bit. But when dudes are just quicker than him, they're just going right by him. And I just feel like Joe is just like Al, he's being left out on an island, and he's not making these fucking adjustments game after game, and I just don't get it.
He was a minus 17 this game.
Bro, he's getting killed every game because teams.
Yeah, but it's not him. It's not him. Like, as mad as I just was, I'm mad at the statement. I'm not mad at how he's played. If you look at the picture, look at the still shot that was taken, his hand is there.
Sure.
The contest wasn't a problem. It's the fact that, once again, and like Bobby just alluded to, the fact that you keep switching, knowing that he's on the island, and it becomes what I call a mixtape session. It's out of control. And also, too, I don't know if you had this in your notes, but whatever. I'm going there with it. How does Time Lord only play 19 minutes? How?
And none in crunch time.
None in
right. Like, how does that happen? Because once again, you want to talk about switching out. Now, once again, he might not have blocked it, but do you think that I absolutely think that James Harden thinks about that shot differently, and Rob is the one that's being switched on to him. I absolutely think that.
Yeah,
absolutely think that.
100%.
So that's and then to me, once again, you let Maxey go off, you let Tobias Harris go off, you let D'Anthony Melton go off, which I forgot about him. I forgot that they got him in the trade over from Memphis, which I'm sure the way that shit's going on over there, what happened over there, I'm pretty sure they missed D'Anthony Melton as someone that could be a contributor off the bench. Paul Reed.
They missed
Paul
him.
Reed.
They don't miss him anymore.
Paul Reed, I think I don't know if you had this in the notes, but Paul Reed had 13 rebounds, looking like the modern day Leon Pope for them. Like, it was out of control to see what I saw last night. You cannot let, and once again, Harden getting 45, that's not as wild to me. Once again, people are saying, oh, I know DK was like, man, you letting James Harden corpse. Listen, man, this guy's a 12-time All-Star. He's a former MVP. We got to stop disrespecting players that are that great.
Sure.
We just got to.
Sure.
But I said this with Bobby when we just showed last week, I think. Excuse me. I said it's one thing to let Harden or Embiid go off. That's one thing. You can't let Maxey, you can't let Tobias, you can't let them guys get theirs too. You can't. Because if you do, that's what happens as what you saw last night. Those guys get confident, they start knocking down shots, and next thing you know, now people are playing the blame game or saying, why did we get this stop here? What happened with this turnover? So there's a lot of things that need to be worked off.
In my opinion, right? Like, I first of all, a couple of things. Like in our group chat yesterday, like while the game was happening, I said this is exactly the type of game that the Celtics lose.
Yep.
Also, if Embiid's out, you should not play Horford. There's no reason to play Horford because Horford limit. So Horford against Embiid scores 5.5 points less per game, rebounds 2.5 points less per game when he's being guarded by Horford. That is literally why Philadelphia paid him $100 million.
Yep.
Because Embiid had a hard time against him. If he's not going to be in, there's no need to play him. Rest him. He's older. He's probably our age. He's older, and he doesn't need the minutes. But to my other point, you don't need to double James Harden. You really don't. He could go off for 50. He could go off for 55. But if you just play good transitional man-on-man defense against everybody else, Maxey doesn't have 26. Maybe he has 20. You win that game. That's it.
Yep. He's 2 years older. 2 years older than
Yeah, he's our age. I mean, we would consider that our age.
enough. Yeah, he's close
right.
enough. Yeah.
Right. So the one thing, I think we're going to continue to go into this because once I saw that Embiid was not playing, I said the Celtics are probably going to lose this game. I'm still not afraid of them. I do not fear the 76ers, and you all know why, and I can elaborate on that. But what I find most appalling and damning for Joe Mazzulla is that the Celtics shoot 85% from the field in the first quarter. Brown and Tatum are just fucking cooking in the first half. They combined for 7 shots in the second half.
But tell us what you said at the beginning when that happened, because you were spot on what you said. Tell us what you wrote. So you said if they're playing like this, what was going to happen? That was going to be what? What type of night?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't remember my own words.
Well, no. So I got you. So you said if they're playing like this, it's going to be a long night, and I'm like I agreed because they was getting whatever they wanted. But as you just mentioned, as to go like they shot, I think 60% for the game as a team.
Yes,
and you lost by 4. Now they only had like 14 threes though, so I know Joe Mazzulla gets a hard on for shooting 95 threes if that's the only fucking thing that matters. It's wild to me. How do you not set up certain plays for them to drive to the basket? Now some calls were missed. I get that. Some calls were missed on both ends, so I don't want to. I
don't care about that.
But it's just like at the same time, the biggest fucking play of that game, Brogdon. What are you doing?
Wait,
yeah.
If you just focus on
shot clock violation or not, and he's done this a lot this year. Actually, the whole team. It's not just him. Actually, no, it's not even. It's not specific to the Celtics, but I don't care about the team. I care about us. Stop driving or getting to the basket, and you're 2 feet away, and because you see another defender come over, oh, let's just drive and kick. Now, sometimes it works. Not a problem. But if you're there, once again, Out of all of our guards, I would say Malcolm Brogdon is number one as a finisher. I think he's the best finisher we have at the rim on the team. Yeah, the little floater, like he has it. So I'm just like, yo, beautiful. You shoot 90 from the line, you shoot 50 from the field almost. You taking that shot as a high percentage shot. Why would you go back to look to kick it out? If that's the case, give it to Tatum or whoever at 25 feet. Yeah. Let them dribble, ISO ball, and then have Bobby Testis in the group chat saying, "Fucking hate when they do ISO." Cool. I'd rather be ISO ball than us fucking driving and kicking and Tyrese Maxey, who's the fastest player on either team, get a breakaway dunk. He traveled, but they wasn't gonna call that in that moment.
But so the Tatum, I want to elaborate on the Tatum thing real quick because, bro,
I'm gonna set you up, but fine.
All right, go ahead.
I was gonna say, in addition to what Ray just said, explain to me why Jaylen Brown, who was shooting 80% from the field and 100% from free throws, only took 3 attempts in the second half. Go ahead.
Yeah. And on top of that, Jason Tatum took 4 in the fourth quarter, and wait, in the second half of the fourth quarter.
Second half.
Jesus fucking Christ. And that's less than Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart.
Correct.
Just for the record.
Well, Marcus is going to get his shots. Like we all know that.
We know that. No, it's so I don't know, shame on me for doubting Jason Tatum after I just named my daughter after him. But like, is it Tatum shying away from the big moment? Because it kind of seems like it's been a trend the last month and a half, right? Like,
or just in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it just seems like when it comes to that big moment, there has been times where he's risen, right? There has been moments where he's risen up. That Game 6 in Milwaukee, that's really it. But
no, but he's done his no. It's unfair. It's unfair.
It is unfair. You're right. It is, and I want him to shut me the fuck up. And believe me, like I said, I love this man. I love him, but I get annoyed that is it Joe? Is it Joe or is it Jason? That's what I'm asking. I don't know.
It's probably a little bit of both. Honestly, it's probably a little bit of both.
And Jalen, like, I get. See, that's the fact that it's Jalen too makes me think it is Joe, because Jalen doesn't seem like he would be shying away from the big moment, right? I feel like Joe tells him tells him to get the ball moving and do this, make sure we get this many passes every possession bullshit, and like bring the shot clock down to this shit. And
I
don't know.
So my point with that is, right, it has to be a coach thing. So, for example, this happened about maybe 7-8 years ago, but this Derrick Rose just came back to Chicago, came off the injury, and he hit a game winner the game before, like game 3. So game 4, they're tied. It's like maybe 0.8 seconds on the clock. David Blatt, who was like a coach at Cleveland for like a year and maybe some change, draws a play. LeBron says, "Fuck that. We're not running that." He catches it in the corner. Boom, hits the game winner. I bring that story up to say this. At some point, you can have a guy draw something up. You got to just fucking make a play.
Sure.
And my thing is, if the coach is not going to put you in a position, do something about it.
Put yourself in that position.
Put yourself in that position.
But to that point, like audio, I don't know if either of you had the chance to listen to this thing, but the audio was released from the game last night where Marcus Smart.
I black out all sports after a loss like that. I just don't watch anything.
So the audio was released when Marcus Smart from the sideline is literally instructing every member on the court where to go, what to do, everything like that. So the part, like I would say the overwhelming majority of me is saying, well, like that's cool that he's a floor general when he's not on there. The other part of me is saying, why the fuck is Joe Mazzulla not doing that?
Fair.
Marcus Smart is not the guy to tell the team what to do. That is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. It has to be, because if your general is Marcus Smart, I promise you can bookmark this. You will not fucking win a championship. It will not happen. Jason Tatum needs to do exactly what you just said, Ray, and listen to one of Mazzulla's rants where it's very dry. It doesn't mean anything. And he just goes, you know what? Fuck that. Fuck that.
He thinks he's Belichick though.
Who? Missoula?
Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah. Can't you tell about it? You can't tell about the press conferences? He comes in there.
He acts like Belichick. He couldn't lick Bill Belichick's fucking sneakers, bro.
It's wild to me. Oh, what is he gonna do? Just do less turnover. Are you for real? Go a fucking pair. Go a fucking pair. Like you're and was it you get on Doc and some other and I listen. I don't. Everyone knows if listen to the show. I joked about calling Brad Stevens horseshoes. I never would have got on Brad about. I never got on Brad about stuff he said after the game, or if I did, it was very rare.
I wish Brad was on the
like Brad. Like you know what I'm saying. Like honestly, because if we just talked about it with Bruce Cassidy, right? You give Brad, Brogdon, and White, and some other guys they have gotten. Oh yeah, like I said, and once again, this is a lot coming from me because I'm not a Brad Stevens guy as a coach. I thought he did a good job, not a great job. I thought he did good, but they would have got back to the finals. And I know people that will listen to this will say, well, they struggled under Doc with closing. They struggled under Brad under closing. They struggled under Ime with closing. And they're struggling here with Joe. So, okay, maybe they do what Bobby talked about earlier in the show. Maybe if they lose to Philly or they lose whoever they lose in the next round, you say, all right, it's time. It's finally time. Once again, this core has been together 6-7 years.
They are not going to lose. Just erase that from your fuck. It's not going to happen. I promise you. You can bang on it.
We didn't think that team. We didn't think that team across the hall was going to lose either in the first round. Look what happened.
The Bruins, yes, we did. We all fucking know.
And not everyone thought no.
We all know.
You just said earlier. By the time we got
they were 50 fucking seconds away.
Let's just say that maybe
I was already envisioning watching the fucking Maple Leafs versus the Bruins.
Maybe we didn't think they were going to lose, but we all knew it was.
We felt it, but it might not fully convinced. I don't trust you. I don't trust these motherfuckers, Mike. I don't trust them.
Here's the thing. So, Bobby, the big thing for me is that with a lot of the same pieces, with a couple of additions, this team year over year has lost its fucking identity. Ime Udoka, the HR violator himself, was a perennial defensive coach. No matter what, he was going to shut the other people down. Now, obviously, you ran into a freight train like the Golden State Warriors. Whatever. But it feels to me like Mazzulla doesn't emphasize defense. There's no one on that staff that emphasizes defense anymore. And his way of winning is just go ahead and score 135 points. The problem there is you can't do that every night.
Yeah, and so 100%. Couldn't agree more. And I pray that the Celtics find someone, if this Joe Mazzulla thing doesn't work out, that preaches that defensive mentality, because you've seen what this team can do in the past when it comes to that defensive prowess, bro. And that's what wins you championships. That's what makes you fucking feared in the NBA. And they don't have that this year. I mean, you remember last year, the fucking balls and confidence I had for this team. Like I was fucking ride or die.
Never lost in a row.
Ride or die for this squad. And what it came down to though was that fucking defense, because you knew even when you didn't shoot, the other team probably wasn't going to be shooting either, and you knew that the defense was going to do their fucking job, and they just don't have that same.
No, it's honestly
they don't have that same vibe. Yeah. The vibe is
it ties into accountability. I think yes. So did they blue leads on the email? Yes, that is fact. So for those that listen to this, they did the same thing on the email. Okay, great. You made your fucking point. Wonderful. Congratulations. The accountability piece was missing. Sure. Tatum told you in a press conference, Ime was my guy.
Yeah.
He told the world that the previous coach was my guy. Of course he don't fuck with Joe Mazzulla like that. He may think he's cool.
And then we signed him to a contract extension that fucking week.
And it's like, and maybe that's what Brad was thinking when he did it. He was like, you know what, just to get the vote of confidence.
Well, it was All-Star week.
Same weekend.
That. Yeah,
it was the same weekend.
Listen, I don't care what the fuck it was. I don't care if it was Radio Row. At some point, what happened to making people prove it? And just because they were 42-17, that wasn't. enough to. I mean, once again, and I know hindsight's always 2020, but I'm like, I do wish now when I think about it, like, and we talked to Brian Robert about it, we talked about Chris Forsberg early in the year. Like, I just wish that they had made him earn it, like, for real, and say, you know what, let's see what you do in the playoffs. Even if you just made the conference finals, right? I'd be like, all right, cool, like, all right, but like this is I don't know. To me, there's still a lot left to be desired.
They're going to make the conference finals.
Well, my question though, just the whole vibe around they might make the conference finals.
And they will. But
they might make the finals.
Don't do this to me, Bobby.
Time out. They might make the finals, but what's crazy to me, right, is last year what made them feared throughout the entire NBA and made them a legitimate NBA championship threat was their defense. And then you come into this year, you change nothing except get better, right? You literally don't change the team, and you bring in Malcolm fucking Brogdon and Gallinari, who's not playing. But you bring in these guys, and you completely change the identity of the team in 1 year. And the only thing that changed was the head coach. And to me, that is just, listen, I know their record was better. And I know technically from end to end, they were a better team. But the vibe is just different. And I just don't feel like they're a championship team this year. I don't, man.
Whoa.
It hurts
Clip
me.
that.
I just don't, man. I don't feel like they're a championship team, and I hope they.
Let me ask you a question.
But when teams are putting up 130 fucking points on you on a regular basis, the best teams in the NBA are gonna wax the fucking floor with you in a 7-game series.
Can I raise my hand real quick, Bobby?
Listen, they've given up 130 points to every fucking team they've played so far. You know what I mean? It's
I know.
Fucking
blast. Let me ask you a question though. Game 2, with or without Embiid, it's gonna be without. Let's say the Celtics win 112-94. Do you still feel the same way?
Probably not. No. The NBA is a roller coaster of emotions, bro.
Well,
especially
you're
with
a big enough man to admit
playoffs. But right now, the way I'm looking at it is just like, if you're gonna let dudes do this to you on a nightly, you let Trae Young do it to you. Now you let James Harden do it to you, and I'm sure Jimmy Butler will do it to him, and I'm sure fucking Stephen Curry will do it to him, or LeBron James, or these guys are gonna. Just wasn't the identity last year, and it just scares the shit out of me how different it is. It really does. It's so different to watch. Every night is so different.
The only thing that I want to shift, because once again, I'm not focused on a star getting his. I'm just not. That once again, and to be honest, it's the old Dark Rivers thing too, because it worked. We saw it work. Let the star get theirs. They're gonna get theirs. You shut everyone else down. That's what that's the key. You want to let Harden get fine. Let him get whatever he want to get 35, 40 again. Cool. You cannot let other guys, once again, when you let Maxey, Melton, and Tobias Harris combine for almost 50 points, that can't happen. Once again, one of them can get 20, but all three of them get 15 or more. I'm telling you. You've got to stop the others. The stars are going to get theirs. That's not just we got to get that out of our
head.
Listen,
like to your point,
do you remember what they did to those guys last year? Do you remember what they did to those role players last year? In the series? They fucking dominated each and every. Tyler Herro looked like a shell of himself against the Celtics. Right. Drew Holiday looked like shit mostly. He had one really good game. I remember that. But these supporting cast guys didn't do shit against the Celtics last year, and now they're fucking going off.
The bright side here, and leave it to me to be the positive one.
Do you think we were going to be sunshine and rainbows about this team?
Is all that needs to happen is in Game 2 tomorrow night or tonight, if you listen to this on Wednesday. James Harden can score 45. Maxey can score 20. Tobias Harris can score 12. Melton can score 15. You win by 10. That's all you need to do. Do not double Harden. It doesn't matter. He alone, he's a great player. No disrespect, Ray. He is a fucking insane offensive talent.
No, we agree.
However, he ain't better than Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum on their best night. Like, he just can't beat them both. He can't. So my question to you, and I'm gonna phrase this in a way that is kind of gotcha, because I fundamentally believe that Doc Rivers will fuck this up. I don't fear Doc Rivers in the second round of any playoffs. I don't fear the 76ers because we have owned them in the last 8 years. That's 3 coaches. The Celtics are 6-8 in their last 14 playoff games at home.
Yep.
What do they need to do, knowing that Embiid and the MVP Embiid is not going to be playing in Game 2?
That was confirmed. I didn't know that. That's confirmed.
Well, he's doubtful.
Okay.
I mean,
honestly,
the time frame is 4 to 6 weeks, so he could be out.
No, he'll. I mean, I feel like they'll do whatever they need to do to get for Game 3 if possible. I just felt like when they won yesterday, which is why they had the urgency they had to get that game. To me, if he does come back Game 3, I would rest him Game 2 because you already got, at the worst, you got the split. You did what you were supposed to do on the road. Now, okay, you take your chances at home. But the question is, what do they need to do at the crib? Defend it. It's that simple. Like, I'm not looking for style points. I'm not looking for a 20-point blowout. I don't care about that. If it's 112, 111, great. If it's 121 to 98, great. I just want to hear Eddie Palladino say, and that's the ball game. Celtics win. Whatever score to whatever score. Thank you, fans, for being the best 6-man in the league. Drive home safely and have a good night. That's what I want to fucking hear. I want to see Amanda Flugrad doing a post-game interview. I want to see Mark D'Amico doing a post-game interview. That's what I want to see. So I don't care how it looks. Shout out to Melissa too. I'll see y'all tomorrow night. But like that's who I want to see on the floor. I don't care how it happens. I don't care who scores. I don't care who gets the credit. Just find a way to win, because yes, Mike, you are the better team. But once again, this is one series, whether you agree in that moment or not, but in the heart of your hearts, Philly actually has the coaching advantage here. Whether you feel that way or not, in this particular moment, you cannot tell me with a straight face that you want to get under my skin, and I get it. You're not gonna say it with a straight face to say to me that Joe Mazzulla is a better coach than Doc Rivers. Come on.
How many times when Doc Rivers was in LA with the Clippers did he have the coaching advantage and the player advantage, and did he still lose in the second round?
Probably countless times. Countless times.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right. Yeah.
I'm not. I think we win this series. I think you're right. I'm not calling it.
They better win the series.
This isn't
if Embiid doesn't miss in the whole series,
I think we
you better win this shit.
Also, I just want to point out, I would feel better about us winning this series in 6 if Embiid played every game.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, I mean, and I know that would be the narrative, like, oh, so and so with this. I mean, listen, my father had a full head of hair the last time the Sixers beat the Philadelphia 76ers, 1982, right? So names of Andrew Toney, Dr. J, Moses Malone, Billy Cunningham, Mo Cheeks. It's been 40 years since y'all swept LA, Philadelphia fans. I want to make that clear. 4-0. 4-0. That's how long it's been. So let's pump the brakes. You had a great game or whatever. Once again, I mean, I think y'all better fine. They come out and do something Game 2 then. Let's see. Because once again, now I trust Boston on the road. I do. I trust them on the road to get, because that's how they won last year.
Especially in Philly.
No, but anywhere though, anywhere. Like I trust them on the road. Like whatever switch has been flipped the last couple of years, they have closed out on the road. So I'm fine with that. But you got to put yourself in position to be in you got to push yourself. You got to push yourself in position. Excuse me. To be that closer. So just find a way, man. Like I don't care how it looks. I can care less about style points. Just find a way to be 1 point better than the other team. That's simple.
Real BK, what's your prediction for Game 2? Final score.
I mean, judging by what's been so far, it's going to be another track meet. I don't have any confidence that we're going to play defense again. So I'm thinking like if we're gonna win, it's gonna be I do think we win, but it's like 130 to 124, something like that.
Ray?
I'm gonna go. See, I'm gonna go 108, 102 Boston.
I'm going to go 109-97 Celtics. I think that there's no reason to panic. This is still the dynamic duo of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. This is still the Philadelphia 76ers and Doc Rivers coaching with the lead in the second round. Do not worry. Do not fret. For Rayshawn Buchanan, for the real BK Bob Kelly, this is Michael Marcangelo saying thank you so much for listening to Missing the Point. We'll talk to you in a couple days.